We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High. Yah, the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. John 5:39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's take a trip to Daniel 11 and 32. Set the template again of what we've been looking at. And it says, and as such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Alahym shall be strong and do exploits. Now, we mentioned a little briefly last night how to, and a couple times this week actually, how the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. How the beast would walk in that same vein. But let's look at this word flatteries real quickly. I know we done dealt with it before, but I can't remember. I just take a poll around the room, whoever decides to want to answer. The Hebrew definition for the word flattery, what do y'all think that would be? What do you think that definition for that word is going to be for flattery? Yes, ma'am.
Like vain.
You say vain. Anyone else? Anybody else? Well, for lack of a better term, it means smoothness or fine promises. Most importantly, fine promises. Now, when we go back and we look at the situation with the serpent, what did he promise that woman? But not only that, but that she wouldn't die. So when we turn around and we look at the beast and we look at the things pertaining to the mystery of iniquity, we look at it and sit back and we're able to understand one common thing, that he's going to flatter people with false promises. You have to understand that. Now, why is that why is that relevant as it pertains to your Alahym? Well, let's look and see why is that relevant as it pertains to your Alahym. I think in Hebrews chapter 7. Yeah, and I got a question for y'all too, because I don't think I've ever asked this here man, but yeah, I'm gonna see. I needed to pull out the word for that first. That's what I needed to. Make that add prop Hebrews 8. Hebrews 8 and about verse 1. Hebrews 8 about verse 1. So we see what we got to understand is when he corrupting people by flatteries, he gonna make promises. He gonna make promises he can't keep. Promises he can't even make. Okay, that's not the word that I want when it comes to that. Nevertheless, Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of Alahym, of the throne of the majesty in Shamahim, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle which Yahuwah pitched and not man. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices wherever is it a necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer. For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to Torah, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished to Alahym when he was about to make the tabernacle. For say he that you make all things according to the pattern shown to you in the mount. Now we've discussed that in times past. Y'all know that's what he told him, right? Y'all know where he told him at? That he told him that in Exodus 25 with the tabernacle of witness. Make it just like I showed you. But how does that pertain to any one of you? You got to follow the see, and that's for a reason. You can't build this tabernacle how you want to build it. You can't build it on how you see fit to build it, or anything of the sort. You have to build it just like how he told you to build it. That's what we've been discussing with the situation that's been going on amongst our people. And looking at somebody dying and the things that they were doing, and you trying to make the pattern how you feel. This is not how he told you to make the pattern of this house. So hold on, let me show you why we got to say that. Come over here to John chapter 2. You should know what it says. Let me read this verse 6 so we don't got to come back in. He said, but now you've obtained a more excellent ministry, how much also he's the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. So y'all making promises, the beast making a promise. Now in the law in the beginning, you see that he promised if they ate from the tree of good and evil, what was going to happen? They were going to die. And he meant what he said. That was a promise and he meant it. You know what I'm saying? Satan came with a promise and said, you will not surely die. So you think promises coming. I promise you, I swear you, and you're going to find yourself in the wrong place because promises can come and be worded in all manner of ways. You know what I'm saying? Because he promised her she wouldn't die. He didn't say, I promise. Don't be a simpleton. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can promise. All the promises is an expectation of receiving something or the expectation that something may not occur if you choose a particular course of action. John chapter 2, verse 16. Make it 2 and 13. And the Yahudim Passover was at hand, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. Now, before I get into this, you know what? I'm gonna just wait. Let me do what I gotta do first, and I'll do that. And found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and the changers of money sitting. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove all them out of the temple, and the sheep, the oxen poured out the changers' money and overthrew the table, and said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, and make not my father's house a house of merchandise. Now, I'm just going to see who remembers. Who knows in the law why them people were even there? For him to flip all that stuff over. We went over that before. I just want to see who remembers.
Why they were selling sacrifices?
Why would no? He said that he didn't say they were selling sacrifices. He said they were in the temple and they had sheep and they had oxen and they were buying and selling. But who knows, according to the law, why they were there?
They supposed to have something to sacrifice, right? Stuff like that.
This ain't got nothing to do with no sacrifices.
I know it's part of the custom Passover. They're supposed to bring something.
No, Passover, you're supposed to bring an offering. No male is supposed to come with his hands empty. But that ain't got nothing to do with this.
Well, for the priest, have them bringing in, they harvesting the animals for the priest.
That ain't got nothing to do with this either.
Are you talking about why they were buying and selling?
Yeah, why were those men there with their items selling their wares? Y'all already know why he flipped that. That comes from Jeremiah 7. Him whooping him and flipping the tables over and saying, don't turn my father's house to a house of merchandise or a den of thieves. That's in Jeremiah 7. But why were those men in Jerusalem at that time with sheep and oxen and all these things that they were selling? Why were they there? The law tell you why they was there. And we don't went over it.
I don't remember.
Oh,
Anybody else? Come over here to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Deuteronomy 14 and 21. He said, you shall not eat of anything that die of itself. You shall give it unto the stranger that is in your gates, that he may eat it. Or you may sell it unto an alien, for you are Kadash people unto Yahuwah your Alahym. You shall not see the kid in his mother's milk. You shall truly tithe all the increase of your seed that the field bring forth year by year. And you shall eat before Yahuwah your Alahym in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. Tithe of corn, of wine, of oil, of the firstlings of your herd and of your flocks, that you may learn to fear Yahuwah your Alahym always. And if the way be too long for you, so that you're not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from you, which Yahuwah your Alahym shall choose to set his name there, when Yahuwah your Alahym baruch thee, then you shall turn it into money and bind it up for money in your hand, and you shall go unto the place which Yahuwah your Alahym shall choose, and you shall bestow that money for whatsoever your soul lusts after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever your soul desire. And you shall eat before Yahuwah your Alahym, and you shall rejoice, you and your household. So that's why they were there, because they knew for the feast days it'd be people coming from a long distance, and you couldn't bring that stuff with you. So you would have your money, and you'll come in there and you'd buy it from them, or you'd buy it there. And they just happen to be in the house of Yahuwah. They just happen to be in the temple hustling.
So that ain't Levi doing that.
No, that's for the people.
So I'm saying in the Levi.
No, he talking about if you lived in Ephraim and that was too far for you to carry your offerings, you brought your cash and you bought whatever it is that you wanted.
From where?
From Jerusalem. Once you got there, you could spend it. You want some wine? Buy you some wine.
I'm asking because it said it was in the temple.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to be selling it there. That's why he whooped them and said, don't turn my father's house into a house of merchandise or to a den of thieves. It wasn't the issue that they were selling the oxen and the sheep. It was where they were selling it at. But I'm mentioning that because that's why they were there in the first place in Jerusalem selling, because he said this was during Passover. That's why they were there. That's why that happened. If they would have been any other time, they wouldn't have been there selling. They knew they had an opportunity to make some money because the law prescribes that and allows that. So they just went overboard with what the law allowed them to do because they had no business being in the temple doing so.
They buying this to offer it or buying it to
So they can get back home.
No, they were buying it that's for you to eat. That's for you to drink because you couldn't bring it with you. You coming too far.
But this talking about time.
yeah.
He also said in the place that you shall choose, where he places his name there. What else is you coming up for when he places his name there? You coming up to Jerusalem. That's what that's for. So you got to come up. When you come up, you had to have something to offer. If you're coming too far, then he gave you this leniency to be able to do this. Don't worry about that. Just turn it into money, come on up, and you can buy whatever you want. The next verse after that tell you don't forsake the Levite. Shalom, Trina. For your Levite and your gate, this, that, there, and the third. Because that's just not no regular tithe. He mentioned the tithe, and then he comes behind that and says, in the place where I place my name at. So you can come and rejoice before me.
But it is for the Levites.
It's not
tithes are for the Levites, right?
But it's
I'm
not
just trying to make sure.
It's not just for the Levite don't get everything. They get some of it. Some of it's for you. But it's the point of you supposed to came up for the feast. Why these men are there selling. Because they, like I said, if you coming, let's say you coming from Crete, or you coming from Ephesians, or you coming from Corinth, that's a long way to be bringing a sheep. That's a long way to be bringing the oxen. So he said, you know what, don't worry about it. Turn it into money, whatever you had, you got. Come on up here with it, and you can buy here whatever you want, whatever your soul desire, and you have a good old time. He said, but don't forsake the Levite when you get here. Don't be like, because you done got this much, turn it into money, that you don't have to bring that before them and give them their portion. That's what he telling. Because if you had let's say you was bringing 100 sheep, and those 100 sheep were worth $4,000. You know what I'm saying? That Levite's still supposed to got a tenth of that 4,000. You know what I'm talking about? So he said, don't you come up with your 4,000, buy whatever it is that you wanted with your 4,000, and then forsake him. And say, no, I ain't giving you nothing.
So the 4,000 is not the time, the 10?
Not the whole thing.
So what I'm saying is, I'm thinking that the 10th. So say the 10th of your flock is worth is worth 4,000.
You
Right.
turn it into money.
Right.
You
right.
come
You
up
turn
there.
it into money for the 4,000. So the 4,000 is not the 10th of your cattle.
No, the
Or
4,000 is
the
what
whole
you.
thing.
So you turn it to money before you even get there.
Right, what I'm saying, when you turn it into money, you bring in your 10th.
Like you turn your tithe into money.
Right,
you taking what you would have brought with flock and you turn it into bread. Not just the 10th, but whatever you've coming up to offer, period. You turn it into money. It's too far for you to bring. You get there, you could buy whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is that you desire, but you still got to break bread. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of our people took long journeys.
So they would have brought more than just 10. So
they would have brought brought whatever you want to bring. See, what you're getting is you see the tithe of the corn and the oil and the wine, and then you missing what he make a separation behind that, and that he's talking about two different things in the same conversation. Because right behind that, he said you bring your tithe. Then he say when you come up to the place where he places his name at, and you're gonna rejoice before him, and you're gonna do this, that, there, and the third. So he's letting that know both times. Because you got times when you got to bring tithes, period, that ain't got nothing to do with no feast day. You know what I'm saying?
And that tithe
right,
will be
this
separate
don't
from
got
that
nothing to do
offering.
with no feast day.
Yes, it does. When he said
praise my name.
Yeah, straight him down. Because that's what he told you in Deuteronomy 16 when all males got to appear. He hadn't sanctified Jerusalem for that purpose yet. So that's why they're there. It's like the issue wasn't that they were selling. The issue was where they were selling. That's the same token that also go to show you that you should already know that, and people should know that in a house of worship, you ain't got no business selling nothing. You have some people who do that, Bruce, Christians alike. You got no business selling nothing in the house of worship. That's just asinine. You know what I'm saying? And if he was, yeah, you probably that's outside because that's not what the house is for. Come on back to John chapter 2. You have a chair. Hey. But look at verse 15 again. He said he found in the temple, verse 14, he found in the temple those that sold oxen, sheep, and doves, and the changers of money sitting. Hey. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, and make not my father's house a house of merchandise. Then his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of your house have eaten me up. Then answered the Yahudim and said unto him, what sign show you that, seeing that you do these things? Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple in 3 days, I will raise it up. Then said the Yahudim, 46 years was this temple in building, will you rear it up in 3 days? But he spake of the temple of his body. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he said this unto them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Yahushua said. Now again, I'm gonna ask y'all to see who remember this here. It said they believed the scripture. So do y'all know what scripture that is? Where it references that tear this house down and I'll build it back up. It don't say it in them exact words, but it say it nonetheless. And I tell you, it's in the prophets, so you ain't got to venture in the law. No, it's not in the book. It's in the prophets. You ain't got to venture in the law, but that's where it's at.
I was gonna say
That's in Jeremiah.
John.
Is that Zechariah?
No, it's not Zechariah either. I tell you, it's a minor prophet. Narrowed it down even more. No, it's not Jonah, because Jonah never makes that statement. Jonah makes a statement about being underwater. It's an obscure place, so. Well, come over here to the book of Amos, in the 9th chapter, about the 7th verse. He said, are you not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Yasharal? Saith Yahuwah, have I not brought up Yasharal, the land of Mizraim, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? Behold, the eyes of Yahuwah Alahym are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saying that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahuwah. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Yasharal among all nations, like as corn is sifted in the seed. You shall not, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, this evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. And that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as the days of old. That's why he said they believed the scripture and what he said. Now, of course, it said after he was risen from the dead, right? So that's when he would have showed them this and taught them that. That you see what he told right here, I rebuild the house of David or the tabernacle. See, some people look at that and they thinking that's really referring to the house of David, as if the house of David had been destroyed. The house of David hasn't been destroyed. The house of David is forth of bloodline and still present to this day. But now, what it was after that? Oh, yeah. He said, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, say the evil won't overtake them and prevent us, right? Now, of course, we all familiar. We seen a little piece of it last night. They mentioned it about, Kodak Black making his statements. Does anybody realize, as forth as the word is concerned, that his statements and people's reaction to his statements, do y'all realize how that relates to the script? Because it relates to the script, whether you realize it or not. Hey, cut that plan out in there. Cut it out. And to narrow it down, it's a statement that comes from the Lord's mouth of how his statements, but more importantly, the reaction to his statements relates to the word. The first thing you have to determine is one thing. When you look at Kodak Black, what would he be considered according to the scriptures? But you know what I'm saying? He's a sinner, right? So what else would he be related to as far as being a sinner? That too. But it's more like he would be in the world, would he not? So his reaction to his statements would be considered what, according to the text? Who would he be talking to? The world. So let's look at something in John chapter 16. So I'm just mentioning that for a reason. Like I said, these people give a lot of cannon fodder for you to be able to show how y'all word is true. Make sure I got a map in the wrong place. John 15 and 16, because it definitely was John. John 15 and 16. You have not chosen me, but I've chosen you and ordained you that you should bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain. That whatsoever you shall ask of Abba in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that you love one another. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. And if you were of the world would love you, love his own. But because you're not of the world, but I've chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Matter of fact, what I was looking, this is what I was looking for. It's in the epistle of John. That's what 1 John chapter 4. Leah, sit down, please. Thank you. Sit on your bum. 4 and 4. 1 John 4 and 4. Are you okay? Are you okay? You have a birthday. He said, you of Alahym, little children, have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore they speak they of the world, and the world hear them. We are of Alahym, and know that Alahym hear us. He that is not of Alahym hear not us. Hereby we know the Ruach of truth and the Ruach of error. That's why you see because he's speaking of the world. The things that he's speaking of, that's of the world, is it not? Is the things he was talking about of Alahym? Absolutely not. So the reaction back is what? Of course the world gonna hear him, because that's who he is. That's why he had the response that he got. That's why you had the things that's going on, because those are sinner problems, if you will. The difference being why I make that statement is because, just like he said, right? He said, he that is of Alahym does what? Hears Alahym's words. You hear them not because you're not of Alahym. See, the thing was, people don't sit back and realize, I tell you before, people want celebrities to hit the word. They're not going to hear it if they're not of Alahym. It doesn't matter who speaks it. See, if you're not Alahym, then you're not going to hear the word. I don't care if you sit down for 17,000 Shabbats. If you're not Alahym, you're not going to hear his word. Who, as far as dealing with Yahushua, who's the evidence of that? Judas is the evidence. He was with him the whole time. He was with him the whole time. What about the people who walked away from him? They were there listening to him the whole time. So just because you hear the word don't mean that you're of the word. The reason I mention that because if you go to I'm guaranteeing you this here, man. It'll be without fail. I don't care who you know. You talking about worldly things, they'll hear you all day long. When you go to talking to them about the word, now they don't hear you. So then you have to sit back and consider that when you having conversation and dealing with people. Like, that means the only thing I can talk about with you is sinful things and things that are don't even pertain to me. And we just talked about the other night. He said he's not of the world, is he not? He's a stranger and an alien. So if you confess that you're a stranger and an alien, then why would you have a strong desire to be linked to people who are not pilgrims and strangers like you are? Meaning they're not persuaded and embracing the same promises that you are. So and like this here, right? Because it's difficult. At least it is for me. I can't speak for none of y'all. It is very difficult for me to have a conversation with somebody who is not a stranger. Because I really don't care about none of the stuff that you care about. Not in depthly and deeply. I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't follow these people that closely. I don't care what they got going on. I may see some stuff in passing. If I see it, I realize, wow, that's ill. But you got niggas who know these people's lives in and out, or any and everything that goes on in the world. And you have to be careful of that. Because if you overcome them, then they shouldn't be able to hear you. And you shouldn't be overly concerned with what they got going on, because that ain't got nothing to do with you. If you're not of this world, when you know your Alahym, you understand that. And that's where people come in at, you too heavenly minded, being the earthly good, and all the stuff that people do to demean and belittle you. And because I'm mentioning all that, because what did it say in that Amos 9? But the sinners of my people shall be destroyed, who say this evil will not overtake us. And you talking crazy. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand that. Because it's a difference. When you of this world, it's a difference. And y'all know, because everybody in here was of the world. And it might have been a lot easier for you to have dealings and conversations with people that you knew when you were in the world, when you were of it. But now once you're not of it, it's extreme because they not of the same thing. So what you talking about, they can't hear. And when we talking about can't hear, meaning they don't believe it. That's why he said the world, he said, we are not of the world. If we were of the world, then the world would hear us. Hold on, let me read that. What you doing, Poppy Stank? What if I wanted to drink that? You put your napkin on it. He says they are of the world, therefore they speak of the world, and the world hear them. So that means the world is attentive to what they have to say. They've marked it, they've heard it, they believed it. He said, but we are Alahym. But notice the key thing, he said, we know that Alahym hear us. So you sit back and look at it. He didn't mention first that a man hear you. He said, we are Alahym, so I know he hears me. Which goes back to what we were talking about, how he don't hear sinners. Which goes back to what we read in John 15 when he say, I done pulled you out of the world. That's why he say anything you ask in my name, my Abba do it. See, we don't even really sit back and look at that. Of course, y'all should know that's in the law. He said in Leviticus 20, he said, I severed you from amongst other people that you might be mine. So when we want to be drawn back and fool with this, you telling a man, I don't want to be with you. Because that's how he gonna take it. Because you drawing back. And as Paul wrote, well, they distributed to Paul, we are not of those who draw back under perdition. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard thing, but when you turn your back on the world, you saying that these promises that you've made, I'm embraced and I'm persuaded by them. And why are we going through all that? Because we know the beast is going to corrupt people by fine promises or flatteries. He's going to make promises just like Yah's going to make promises. If you are of Yahuwah, then you're going to hear his promises. If you of the world, you're going to hear this man's promises. And just sitting down here in the word, let me rephrase that. Not hearing the word, sitting down, listening to the word does not mean that you believe it. And does not mean that you're persuaded of that said promise. That's why I keep telling you, it ain't about just showing up. Like this here, right? I mentioned it before. Y'all niggas always late. So if this man told you I'm going to be at Jerusalem at 8:15, and you knew you could get there by 8:15 and you don't, how stupid is that? Because you ain't being late for me. You just told him, I don't care what you got going on. You're going to let me in when I get here. Now, what you going to do when he slammed the door in your face? You know there's a parable where he said that, right? You came knocking on the door and he looked at the door like, why are you bothering me? He said, I don't know you. Stop knocking on my door. What happened to them women with them lamps? Because you wasn't ready. If you knew this for your God, you know what time it is, why you don't make your provisions to be ready. It's no excuse. Ain't no excuse, because for anything else, niggas make provisions to be ready to be there when they say or they supposed to be there. So ain't no excuse. You're going to be looking around. We ain't got no oil in our lamps. And you think he going to care. Because it's not about just because it's you. It's about the mental state of being ready. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. It's about your mindset and mind frame. Because if you had a mind, it don't matter when I get there, then you said in your mind, I got time so I can delay. That's not the mindset you want to have. You don't have time. You know what I'm saying? You know why you don't have time? This was in my head last night and I didn't go through it. What does the book of Ecclesiastes tell you what happened to you when you die? Does anybody know the book of Ecclesiastes tell you what happened to you when you die?
It would go to other man.
It does say that, but that's not the one. It does say that.
Think about it too. Think about all your works.
It do say that. It does say that. Yeah, I forgot there's a lot of things he talked about death on that. So my apologies, because it definitely does. Coming to Ecclesiastes what? That day. Are you tired? I done told you that before, man. If you could bust your butt to be on time for them crackers, give your God that same respect. Because we got to remember, it's not us. We do this for him. This for him. It's not for us. It's not for the person who preaching. It's not for the group. It's for him. Everything we do is supposed to be for him. And if we don't have the mind that we doing it for him, then that's going to spill over in a lot of other things, and then you're not going to get a full reward. Sit back and look at it, right? What if a Mashiach say, oh, I'll get around there to get snatched up when I feel like it? What if he did that? Throw everything out of whack. I feel you. I don't like being late either, and I definitely don't want to be late to this party. Because if you late to this party, you ain't getting in the door. Well, I want to be ready. You know what I'm saying? He told you to do what? Watch, right? Which in our language means to be ready. Keep guard. You ready. But we don't want to be like these sinners out here scrambling. He said they're going to be screaming and hollering, wailing because of it. No, Joel say, man, he going to be the strength and hope of his people because they were ready. They were on time. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, it's more about mindset. It's your mindset. Because if you have a mindset in one thing, it spill over to other stuff. It's not a matter if, it's when. Because that's a habit. And then habits spill over and you continually walk and develop more bad habits. Ecclesiastes 12 and where's it at, man? 7. That's all we need in verse 7. He said, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the Ruach shall return unto Alahym who gave it. So what's coming back to him? Your breath, right? But when he resurrects from the dead, what does Ezekiel said he would do? He'll blow that breath right back into you. So now once that breath is right there, see, that's a promise. Because he promised you were going back to the dust in Genesis, didn't he? He promised you that. This is the exact promise that the serpent told her wasn't going to happen. Now let's take a look. Now let me ask you this question here. And of course, these are remedial questions, so bear with me. What does our law say the penalty is for idolatry? Death, right? Now let's look at what this man over here in the back end gonna do. Let's see what fine promise he giving you. Revelation 12. Now, of course, it's implied in this aspect. It's actually Revelation 13. (13 and 11). He said, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he spake and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a serpent. Do y'all remember this? Because we talked about this too. Why does he have two horns like a lamb? He imitate. So now pause, right? Because we're dealing with, remember, if you know your Alahym, you're going to be strong and you're going to do work. So if he's trying to imitate the lamb, what is it that he's imitating? Not just his death. Move past his death. What? And he said he got two horns like a lamb, but speak as a serpent. So we done went over this before, but we just refreshing your mind because we talking about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the mystery of iniquity and the mystery of Alahym. So hold on, I want why you thinking about that, right? 2 Thessalonians say what? That he would sit in the temple as who? And confess himself to be what? So now when we know that, so if he got two horns like a lamb, what is he actually trying to remember what we just read? The reason why I mentioned it, what did we just read last night in Matthew 23? He said outwardly they look like what? Beautiful whited sepulchres. You know, some of y'all done rode past some cemetery. The dead is full of uncleanness and dead men's bones. So the first key thing that you see is that he's appearing righteous on the outside. But if he's speaking like a serpent, then he's subtle like that beast in the field in the Torah, which means the promises that's coming out of his mouth are lies. So now, what was some of the attributes of the Lamb? What did he promise? What did he speak? Let's look at Daniel 8 so we can see that. 8 and 20. What are you doing? 8 and 23, actually. You can get away. Get up here. Sit down. Stay.
I just realized it said horns like a lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he'll go.
He'll go. You know about goat. You know that said when we know Lucifer ain't the devil, but that's what a nigga like to say. They like to ride goat Lucifer.
Yeah.
They like to ride the Baphomet. You know what the Baphomet look like, don't it? Goat man with titties. But not just a billy goat, that nigga got titties. How many goats you seen got titties? Just one. Because you know what the Baphomet is really supposed to be symbolic of being? Not just pan, but being androgynous. Y'all know what that means to be androgynous? You male and female. You kind of blur the lines of homosexuality. You know what I'm saying? And what's the word? And heterosexual behavior.
When you throw a goat on that, throw a little animal.
Throw a little bestiality in there too. I'm into all freaky type of stuff.
That's why I said that's that freak.
That's that freak. And I mentioned that because I done told you, all these black women out here talking about they goddesses. Hoes. You just a hoe. You know what I'm saying? You just a hoe. Because what you professing to be is a hoe if you take the time and look. Ain't been a virtuous goddess in the history of mankind. I'm telling you, they finna worship one when Easter is. I don't know it. But either way it goes. 21st. So get what? In 2 weeks, they finna get ready. What? The people who actually serve Astaroth, they finna be having orgies. That's what they used to do. Have orgies. You know what I'm saying? That's what they used to do on Saturnalia. Have orgies. Anytime these people get together, they call it sex magic. That's why a lot of these hoes got spirits on them, because you've been around there with them freaky deaky witches and warlocks, and then they cast a demon on you. You walk around getting tormented all the time. Only thing make you feel better when you're getting ramrodded. And after that, they feel like you feel like Saul.
You're alone again.
You're alone again. Yeah, play with all this stuff if you want to.
Only time I feel alive.
Like they said, the only time I feel at peace is when I'm participating in sexual rituals. After that, I'm tormented again. That's sad.
Well, that's how you know that joke ain't right.
At all. And that's why I'm saying, regardless, boy, I don't care how a nigga feel. It don't mean them nigga homosexual. It don't even mean them nigga worship the devil. But them niggas in that field that have to deal in that entertainment, they know full well what them people involved with, and they turn their head to it. And that's the question you got to ask yourself: what man of integrity would know what all manner of wickedness is going on and participate and profit off of it? You ain't got to be in no word for that. Some stuff your integrity and your honor will not allow you to do so.
But they giving them what they need to deal with the pain.
Deal with the pain. Take this weed.
Make this money.
Take this money. Buy these cars.
Go on your trip. Enjoy yourself.
Get you some medication. You wonder why all them niggas be junkies and alcoholics.
Take your mind off these things.
Because they might not be an active participant. They just might know what's going on.
But that enough alone.
You wonder why all them niggas going crazy. How a nigga playing make-believe always going crazy? You ain't never asked yourself why Mick Jagger old behind still torn. You don't think this nigga want to lay down? This nigga almost 80. You don't know who Mick Jagger is? Rolling Stones.
But kids gonna be doing the same.
Same thing. You think they just doing it because they want the money? They should have enough money. Been in the business 50, 60 years. You're going to go till I tell you to stop, bastard, and you're going to do what I say and when I say it. And that's sad. And all they doing now, you can do your own research on that. Screw the music industry side stuff. We did our own research on this historically. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things they do with music, that junk be they casting spells. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them, they witches and warlocks. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? We didn't talk about this before. You wonder why this stuff, anything that can elicit emotion out of you. Remember, your God don't deal with emotions because emotions are of the flesh. Your Alahym is a ruach, and those that he seek to serve him in ruach and in truth. So when you deal with anything for the purpose of eliciting emotion, it is to stir your mind and direct you in the fashion that they want you to direct you in. This ain't no conspiracy theory. This ain't got none of the stuff these niggas be on YouTube about. This knowing your God. The adversary seeks to incite the flesh because that's the only thing that can be used against you to have you go against your God. Because a carnal mind is hatred towards the Torah of Alahym. It can never be subject to it. Those who are of the adversary, whether they worship Satan openly or not, are aware of this. You may not understand it according to the script, but they're aware of this. They know this. That's why when you watch movies, they do use certain camera angles, certain music to play to invoke emotion. Because as long as I keep you carnal, I will always have you separated from your God. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They know this. Don't think that they don't. Because the whole world is predicated on emotion. You know what I'm saying? They have taught you that love is an emotion. You know what I'm saying? When your God has been telling you from day one, it is not. It is an action. It's something you do. So that's why a lot of our people end up becoming whores because you're chasing an emotion, which 9 times out of 10 on the scientific realm ain't nothing but a release of dopamine. So you chasing that like a junkie chasing a rock. And you wonder why you never find it. That's why people get with people, and once that high is departed and they feel like they can't get it again, they go to the next person. Looking for that high. Because that's all a crackhead do is chase that first high. That's all he doing. And you got people chasing that because love is an action and it's a commitment. What if y'all was moved by emotion? Our people wouldn't even exist. If he loved how we say what we think love is, we wouldn't even exist as a people. We would be destroyed, we would be removed, and you would be left to suffer under the hand of your enemies and your oppressors forever. But because love is an action and a commitment that he made to 3 separate men, then he gonna manifest that love openly. And he did that during this time period of which we're commemorating right now. And he will show forth that honor and that love in due time. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I guarantee you, if you was just doing an informal poll and ask people what love is, it's gonna be emotion based. I'm happy. So it's not a feeling. Who told you it was a feeling? How can you be of God and go off feelings? Why do we know this? Because what he told you, don't fix your mind on things that are temporal, but the things that are eternal. And he said that Alahym is love. Hold on, let's go on again. 1 John chapter 4. Because that's what he told you he is. We still holding Revelation 3. See, and that's the reason why. Because if you love him and he made these more precious promises to you, he made these promises to you because what? Because he loves you. Because he loved the world so much, I'm going to sacrifice my son. See, he didn't tell you, I love you. I got all these feelings. He said, here's my only son. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to whoop him. I'm going to hang him from a tree. That's how much I love you. I'm going to let him wear them sins instead of you wearing them. Now, what better manifestation of love is than that? That's why he say greater love have no man than this, that the man lay his life down for his friends. Did that sound like an emotion to any of y'all? If I say I love you and I'm willing to die for you, I pretty much just showed you how much I loved you. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if that don't move and touch your heart, that say a lot about you. Don't say nothing about him. I'm in the right place. That nigga got an old man face. That nigga look like a nigga grand. Come here, son. That nigga look like Uncle Frank.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, that nigga Uncle Frank had the meanest fade in the history of fades, nigga. Uncle Frank had the meanest fro, nigga.
It still ain't fit that all the way.
Shoot, cause what that was is, what his name is? Steve Harvey front fade wasn't real.
Rock it nasty. You can't rock it tight. You can't rock it
Man, that
tight.
junk looked like a place front.
Huh?
No, I say Steve Harvey fade wasn't real. That nigga, how that nigga hairline looked when it was gone.
It was too tight. It was too tight.
No, like that nigga.
Nah, that joint painted.
He had a regular hairline, but when he went bald, that nigga hairline was like this. Nah, that wasn't your hair, cuz.
Look at that.
First John 4:16. I still ain't found what I wanted, but we'll deal with it. Oh, there you go. First John 4:16. Dang, I lost it. 16 ain't what I want. I need 12. Matter of fact, no, I need 10.
Look, I got 6
I need
kids.
7. First John 4:7. Beloved, let us love one another. For love is of Alahym. Everyone that love is born of Alahym and know Alahym. So what is love according to the text? Love is long-suffering, shalom, goodness, truth, faithfulness, mercy. So if you do these things and you have that love, then guess what? That showed you would be born of Alahym and you would know Yahuwah. Those are not feelings. Because to know your Alahym is to know his will and to know his word. Those are not feelings. He that love not, know not Alahym. For Alahym is love, and this was manifested the love of Alahym towards us, because the Alahym sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we loved Alahym, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if Alahym so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No man have seen Alahym at any time. If we love one another, Alahym dwell in us, and his love is perfected in us. Hereby we know that we dwell in him and he in us, because he hath given us of his Ruach, and we have seen and do testify that the Father sent the Son to be the Savior of the world. Whosoever shall confess that Yahushua is the Son of Alahym, Alahym dwell in him and he in Alahym. And we have known and believed the love that Alahym have to us. Alahym is love, and he that dwell in love, dwell in Alahym, and Alahym in him. So if you know that he said your Alahym is a Ruach, this ain't talking about no feelings. Because it's a lot of things that people do that they feel like it's not love when it's love. What did we read last night? He said open rebuke is better than what? Secret love. So when he took Yahushua and rebuked him openly and put him to an open shame, that was the manifestation of his love. You can see it. Remember when we were talking about this the other day? Why he said, why you think one of the reasons why he rebuked people and put them to shame in front of everybody? You know what I'm saying? That's why he did it. So you might love him. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to remember one thing, right? I put it to you this way. With David's situation, right? He rebuked him in private, right? But then he still manifested his love in front of everybody. How did he do it? Be quiet, Leah. Leah, children. When Nathan came and rebuked him, and he told him about 3 things that was going to happen to him that everybody would see. No, he didn't say that. He said the sword would always be in his house. No, those are open rebukes. Everybody, he said, I'm going to tell you, I ain't going to kill you. But he said, I'm going to take all your wives and let them lay with other people before the sun, because what you did in the dark, everybody going to see it. But guess what? That's a manifestation of his love because of his correction. You notice a lot of people don't deem correction as being love at all. You know what I'm saying? But Alahym's correction of his son, you know what I'm saying, was the greatest love ever manifested towards anyone in the history of mankind. You know what I'm saying? Because this gave you an opportunity to become a son or daughter of Alahym when you weren't worthy of that. But this is also being built because we know the things he promised us, right? He promised a resurrection of the dead, right? He promised you a kingdom. He promised you everlasting life. Let's go back to Revelation 13 and let's look at what this nigga got going on. So when you look at that, he got two. I didn't read Daniel 8. Hey. Y'all know better. You know better. So you were wise, son, and you departed because I didn't hear your voice. Say the wrath will not come upon my head. Come here, Isaiah. Come sit with me. Hello, my love. 8 and 23. And in the latter time of the kingdom, when the transgressions are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. So remember, that means he'll have some understanding of parables. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and Kadash people. And through his policy also he shall craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by shalom shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So he said, by shalom he shall destroy many. Who knows the words that Yahushua spoke that are in direct opposition to what this man is doing right here? It said, by shalom he gonna destroy many. So who knows? No, that's not the one. I know why you would say that. And that one there, he was saying, I wasn't coming to bring people together. I'm coming to separate. But there's something that, yeah, see, he coming by peace to bring people, but in actuality, because he got two horns like a lamb, but he's speaking like a serpent. So he using peace, but he gonna kill. Now Hamashiach has something of the same testimony, but it's the opposite. And it's something that he said to his apostles. Yeah. And to narrow it down, what the reason why he said it is because they were trying to mimic Elijah. Do y'all know what Elijah did? I want to know, do y'all know what Elijah did?
Yeah, as far as the prophets of Baal, the sacrifice.
Not on that one there. It's something else he did. Not that something else he did.
Elijah did a lot.
Not really. What's the only name? The only thing named Elijah there is raising that little boy. The prophets of Baal.
The chariot.
Him praying for rain.
He did a lot, bro.
No, his story is pretty short. His story is only 2 chapters long. And in it, I'm narrowing it down. It's just one. Besides him going to heaven, is one y'all overlooking. It's one thing he did to it. He was nasty with it too. No, that wasn't him who got butt naked. That was Isaiah. That was Isaiah got butt naked.
Rebuking the priest.
No, come over here to 2 Kings chapter 1. He said that's why he like to get butt naked. Cheeks out. Little wee swinging. Put that up, boy. 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 1. Moab rebelled against Yasharal after the death of Ahab. Isaiah fell down through the lattice in the upper chamber that was in Samaria and was sick. And he sent his messengers unto them, go inquire of Beelzebub, the Alahym of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. But the Malachim of Yahuwah said unto Elijah the Tishbite, arise and go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there's not an Alahym in Yasharal that you go to inquire of Beelzebub, the Alahym of Ekron? Now therefore thus saith Yahuwah, thou shalt not come down from that bed on which you're gone up, but shall surely die. And Elijah departed. 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 5. And when the messengers turned back unto him, he said unto them, why are you now turned back? They said unto him, there came a man up to meet us, and he said unto us, go, turn again unto the king that sent you, and say unto him, Thus saith Yahuwah, is it not because there's not an Alahym and Yasharal that you send to inquire Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore thou shalt not come down from that bed which you are gone up, but you shall surely die. And he said unto them, what manner of man which was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, he was a hairy man, and girt with a girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, is Elijah the Tishbite. Hey, yet you continue to play. And I don't understand why. Then the king sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50, and he went up to him, and behold, he sat on the top of the hill, and he spake unto him, you man of Alahym. The king said, come down. Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I be a man of Alahym, let fire come down from Shamahim and consume you and your 50. And there came down fire from Shamahim and consumed him and his 50. Again, also he said unto another captain of 50 with his 50, and he answered and said unto him, O man of Alahym, thus have the king said, come down quickly. Elijah answered and said unto him, if I be a man of Alahym, let fire come down from Shamahim and consume you and your 50. And the fire of Alahym came down from Shamahim and consumed him and his 50. He sent again a captain, the third 50 with his 50, and the third captain of the 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and besought him. And said unto him, O man of Alahym, I pray you, let my life and the life of these 50 your servants be precious in your sight. Behold, there came down fire from Shamahim and burnt up the two captains of the former 50s with their 50s. Therefore, let my life now be precious in your sight. And the Malachim of Yahuwah said unto Elijah, go down with him, be not afraid of him. And he arose and went down with him unto the king. Any of y'all familiar with this before? Huh? I didn't hear him.
He definitely did.
I thought he said something.
He did. But that's what I thought it was when he said it. Then after that, I
thought
no
he said
clue.
something.
Yeah, that's how I was like,
So, do y'all know when that happened with the apostles? It's in Luke 9, chapter 9. So, this is the opposite, because Yahushua coming with shalom, he ain't coming to destroy. That's why he told them, we're going to read it Luke 9 and 50 or something like that. Because he said, you don't know what manner of spirit you got. See, they got to see the difference. See, we supposed to be coming to make peace, not destroy. Because if you come and preaching the gospel, you preaching peace, but then behind that, you're going to destroy it. See, when Yahushua come back, he ain't preaching no gospel. That's why he destroying. I already preach peace. Shoot, peace time up. Peace time up. I done came as a lamb. I'm coming back as a lion. Who done rose me up? I'm coming to devour. My bad, Stanley. That's the opposite. Luke 9 and 51. That's what it said, right? It said that he will have peace and destroy many. So he coming with peace, but he looking to destroy. Yahushua came with peace. He wasn't looking to destroy. Look what he's finna tell him. And it came to pass when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem and sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered to the village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. And they did not receive him because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem. And when the disciple James and John saw this, they said, Lord, will you that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them as Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, you know not what manner of ruach you are. For the Son of Man has not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. See, the beast is not coming to save men's lives. He's coming to destroy them. But he coming looking like a lamb, but inwardly he's a serpent. He's a devil. He's an adversary. He wicked. Yahushua showed you what manner of lamb he was. Because hold on. When John the Baptist seen him, what did he say? When John the Baptist seen Yahushua, what did he say? He said, behold, the Lamb of Alahym, who take away the sins of the world. Now, what type of animal is a lamb? 51. A lamb is a docile, that's what they call the people, the sheeple. The sheep and all this, that's a docile animal. When Yahushua, why you think he told Pilate, my kingdom is not of this world? Because if it was, I'm not coming as a lion right now. Remember, he came as Solomon. He was a man of peace. Did Solomon do any fighting and destroy anybody? No. But when he returned, he coming like his forefather David, and I'm coming like a lion, and I'm coming to make war. This is knowing your Alahym. You know your Alahym. You know ain't nobody coming with peace, but with destruction in their heart at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand. You gotta understand to see Elijah had a reason. So you niggas bucking. And then you sizing me because this nigga asked to see a false god. So he earned what he got. But also you see the mercy of Alahym, because what did the last captain do? He besought mercy and play it. Hey man, let our life be precious. And when he did that, what did Elijah do? No, well, what did Alahym instruct him to do? Don't kill him. Remember what Yahushua told you in John 10, the thief don't come for but to what? Steal, kill, and destroy. Yahushua does not come for that purpose. Revelation 13 and 12. Tabit. Come here, Tabit. Is your name Tabit? Your name Tabit. That's Tabit. No, it's not over. And you shouldn't be looking for it to be over so you can play. Sit down and hear the words of your God. And he exercised all power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he do great wonders, so that he made fire come down from Shamahim on earth in the sight of men. So guess what? People who know the word, oh, he did like Elijah did. Huh? He got to be a man of Alahym. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not hear worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now I'm asking this, who remembers this here? This is why I made mention when the dude was like, they ain't mean no harm. The mystery of iniquity is the Christian church. Who remembers, according to the word, why that's important when he made that image be able to speak? And when he was able to give life to the image and make it speak.
Because he said something about it, they can't,
idol can't talk, ain't got no life in it, can't hear, can't talk, can't do nothing. So when you see this come to life, that's what make on people. If you know your Alahym, you know better. You know why you're going to know better? He said don't make no images and don't bow down to him. He already told you this. That's all. It don't matter if the image talk or not. You already know this ain't a Yah. You already know this. When you know your Alahym, you already know this. So him talking and having life means, shalom, man, means absolutely nothing to you.
Only thing he made
and it wasn't nothing but the Malachim talking through it.
Yeah.
You see, he made the ass talk.
Yeah.
He ain't seen him make nothing else talk. That wasn't no animal. That's it. That's the only animal you ever seen he made talk.
Was alive. It's the fact that it's an image. It's something that ain't
that ain't got no life in it. Yeah. Ain't no breath in it.
Yeah.
But remember, we looking at the difference, right? Outwardly, he's appearing righteous, but there's sin inside of this individual. It's sin in that, and he is working that hidden counsel of lawlessness, which Satan started in the garden with his false promise. This is why he's corrupting people with flatteries or false promises. The first false promise he made was telling the woman that she would not die. So what you think the beast gonna be telling people who don't worship his image was not, you're not gonna die unless I kill you. You gotta look at the stuff that he gonna promise. What else is saying, right? You ain't gonna be able to buy or sell. He promising you, if you worship him, he promising you life. Because you gotta have food to be able to live. He promising you life if you serve me. You gotta pay attention. Because what did Yah promise you if you serve him? But he promised you everlasting life. You know what I'm saying? Then this goes back to why I even mentioned the stuff with Kodak and all the stuff that niggas going through with him. That's of the world. So they're of the world. So they gonna hear what they talking about. Them sinner conversations. You know what I'm saying? Because if we had godly conversations, ain't nobody. Y'all already know that. If you posted about anything in the world, you'll get 1,000,000 likes from niggas and 1,001 comments. You go to talking about that word, the conversation ain't the same. Ain't as many people want to talk. Ain't no many people got conversation because it's not for them. And even then, with those who say they in the word, if you do it, they only getting on there to argue. He says, he that is of Alahym hears Alahym's words. He said, you hear them not because you're not of Alahym. That's a hard pill for people to swallow. What did he tell them in John 10, right? He said, what? You're not of my sheep as I told you, because my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. If you want to know who are Alahym, it ain't hard to tell. It's not hard to tell. Period. I don't care how you spin it. It's very simple to tell. This is why I always say I don't understand how a nigga can say they are Alahym and desire mates and close friends who are not. Because there's nothing that we could conversate about. I can't relate to you. And it's not that I can't relate to you because I'm so above you, but the things that are important to me, you will not understand. Nor do you even have a desire or care to understand. And I don't really have a desire or care to understand what you got going on, because that's of a world that don't pertain to me, because I'm not of this world. So since I'm not of this world, the things of the world ain't got nothing to do with me. And that's a hard pill to swallow. And like I say, man, many people take that as, you got to cut your family. Nobody telling you all that, bro. That's just a natural progression. That is a natural progression if you are of Alahym. That's the key thing. If you are of Alahym, that's a natural progression. Because after a while, I don't want to hear no sinner conversations, my nigga. Like if the book tell you that we are not of darkness, but we are light, what I want to sit around listening to a nigga talk about sexual escapades for? And that's against everything I stand for. Why I want to hear that conversation? Why do I care what a whole bunch of sinners on TV got going on that perpetuate continual rebellion against my Alahym? Why I invested in their lives? Because at the end of the day, regardless of what them people doing, when ain't nobody, doesn't matter. What they perpetuate is continual rebellion against your God, period. And there's no denying that. You can't clean it up. You can't make it look good, period. You know why? Because when you serve y'all, y'all coming out your mouth. Put it in now, of course, like I said, right? You see, how many of y'all like to watch award shows? You like to watch award shows? I don't like to watch them because they're boring to me. I mean, I got over there yesterday. But when you watch an award show, what's the first thing that people get up there to do when they get their award? I like to thank God. Thank him for what? Now we have to sit back and think about it in the logical. What are you thanking him for? Because you got some esteem for promoting things that he hates. Now think about that. What are you? And then on top of that, right? People be like, God want this team to win. Why would, of all the things that the living Alahym could be doing and be working on, you think that his will is invested in the winner of a sporting event? You think he's invested in television, movies, and music that are against his will, that do not further his will in any shape, form, or fashion? Let me tell you something, right? The book tell you this here, right? In Proverbs, that riches don't mean nothing if you get them by doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So even if you got money by wrong and sought to do right, y'all's not going to accept it, because that's an unjust weight and an unjust balance, and that's an abomination to him. When you know your Alahym, you know this. He is not going to let you bring sinful stuff to build something with, to do it in his name. Remember what Abraham told them kings? Y'all remember what Abraham told them kings about their money?
Yeah, he said, y'all ain't gonna get no money so y'all can say y'all made me rich.
Absolutely. You say you'll never be able to say you made Abraham rich. But you know why? Also on top of that, you're not going to be able to say that what I built came from your ungodliness. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to get my money by right. My Alahym going to increase me by doing what's right. You know, it's a lot of dope boys do that, feel like, oh, I'm doing good. But you got that by wrong. So if you know your Alahym, he's not stamping that. He don't want nothing to do with that. You know what y'all do if you got a whole bunch of stuff by wrong, 9 times out of 10, he'll strip it from you. Huh? Oh, absolutely. They definitely serve thinking their God, the God of this world. They definitely doing that. You know what I'm saying? They definitely doing that. And that's the point. Because why would you think the God of heaven will be concerned with the stuff that sinners do? Always remember this here. I told Stanley this here earlier this afternoon. Everything that you're supposed to do is supposed to bring honor and esteem to the name of Yahuwah. Look at the stuff that people are doing. Does it bring honor and esteem to the name of Yahuwah, or is it bringing honor and esteem to the individual? Because if it ain't bringing honor and esteem to Yahuwah, he is not a part of it. And I don't care how now nigga feel nowhere on the planet. Because that's what my God said out his mouth. It's for his honor and esteem. You don't preach the gospel. What matter of fact, we'll end it with this here, right? Because this is leading in, because y'all willing tomorrow night. It's the Shabbat, and that's when we'll get into meat and potatoes as we get ready to conclude the week. John chapter 7. Now he talking about a preacher here, true indeed. But you can take it in anything you want to. John chapter 7 and 16. I just want y'all to be able to know the difference, because if you can't tell the difference now, oh, that nigga gonna get you. That nigga gonna get you. You could book it. John 7 and 16. And then after this, I got a question for everyone. So, and I'll keep it going for that.
Hey, cut it out.
Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of Alahym or whether I speak of myself. He that speak of himself seek his own esteem. But he that seek his esteem that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness in him. How many famous people you know? I don't care how they famous, whether they famous scientists, politicians, actresses, actors, or musicians. How many of them bring in esteem to Alahym when they speak? Not name. So if they ain't bringing esteem to his name, then that means what's in them? Unrighteousness. Period. And what was the beast trying to do? What we just seen? He trying to bring esteem to whose name? His. That means it's unrighteousness. See, you got to pay attention to that. Is Yahuwah coming out of their mouth? Is Yahuwah getting honor in what they speak? Is Yahuwah getting honor in what they do? Is the honor coming back to them? Because if the honor's coming back to them, it's unrighteousness in them. And I don't care how you feel about them. That's what your God said. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't like that or you don't agree with that, you know what I'm saying? You can take it up with him. You can take it up with him by supplication. You know what I'm talking about? Courier plane. I don't care how you take it up with him. Because that's what he said. Ain't that what he just said? So if it ain't bringing esteem to Yahuwah, then that means it's unrighteousness in that person. Praise be to Yah in the name of Yahushua for that. But here's my question. I'll start right here because you're in front of me. What does these feast days mean to you? What do they mean to you? Sure, straight up. What do they mean to you? I ain't talking about just unleavened bread. I'm talking about all of them as a whole. What they mean to you?
I say I hold them in high regard, and it's revealing the things of Masha and the things that y'all wanted us to know pertaining to salvation.
What they mean to you, bro?
Way to get to know my God.
But you would know your God with or without that, would you not? I would hope.
You know, he got similitudes in the
No, reason why I say that, because everybody don't gather together every day at feast all across the country. Everybody don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Some people get together that first and that last, and that's it. On the week-long ones.
Yeah.
Because I can ask you what your God mean to you, and you can tell me that. Like I mean, when you sit back and you know these feasts are coming, time of remembrance, Trina, when you know these feasts are coming, like what they mean to you. You know what I'm saying? Do you look forward to them? Do you think it's just for something because it's time to chew? Like what they mean to you? Like, do you get excited because they coming? Or is it just something that you feel like you have to do? Because that's what he say do. Like, what do they mean to you? Do you look forward to them every year?
I do for the chance to hit a word.
And I'm just not saying the bus. I'm trying.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, it is. I mean, that helps. Like, clarify the question.
You know what I'm saying? You go ahead.
I feel like the feast days, especially Passover at the beginning of the year, like I feel like it's to me it's always a time to reflect and like you say, reflect on Alahym, reflect on yourself and see are you in line with what this man book say? Reflect on where you were last year. Are you going? Are you progressing? I look forward to that because each year you should feel more closer to him if you really walk in his way. Like you should each year you should feel closer and closer to him if you, like you say, taking up your stake daily. So if you taking up your stake daily to me, like every year and every piece you should feel more one with him, you should feel closer to him, you should feel more connected with him. So to me, like I look forward to him in that regard. Like hearing the word consistently outside of your our daily like routine and Shabbat and being able to like really focus on him in regards to what each, you know what I'm saying, each piece respectively pertains to. Like,
Trina just answered on here. Y'all can too if you want.
no, I was just saying like just each piece what it pertains to, as you know, like each piece how I reference the book, like each aspect of the piece, each aspect of the year, like it makes sure that you're on point so that you're around this man works, you can see his spirit.
But who in that kitchen? Muffin? Go ahead, little muffin. Kira says it's a refresher for her to remember what happened during the time at the end to evaluate herself if she's walking with him, although she does that daily.
Yeah, exactly.
What does the feast mean to you? What do they mean to you? Oh,
It's like a reminder. It's like a birthday.
a birthday? A celebration, if you will. Don't you tell her?
But not with the whole
Not with,
purpose thing.
not with birthday bakes and bandles?
Yeah, not like with the main whole purpose. It's not for myself, but more so for like why you're doing what you're doing, like celebrating it.
I figured you'd be the only one to catch that. Birthday bakes and bandles. What about you, sir? Why you standing right here? Why I get around the room? People I can see. What these feasts today mean to you? Aki says that he's making a true attempt to become obedient and hoping to become a part of the elect.
Like for me, it's like a time to sit back and reflect. You know what I'm saying? Reevaluate things going on in your life. I made another year in the Word. So, What did you do last year, and how you are this year? Did you improve? Did you decline? Stuff like that. And also for the growth. Think of the growth.
He's honest. Ain't nothing wrong with it. He said.
What it's supposed to be? It's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's not it's not the number one thing. You know, no. But the reason why I say that because I'm finna ask a question behind that. Does anybody know where that's actually seen in the text that wasn't the number one thing? And I tell you, they were keeping the feast, and the explicit feast that they were keeping were tabernacles. To narrow that down. Yeah, when they came up out of Babylon during the time of Nehemiah with tabernacles, and before they even sat down and ate, they went through that word, and then he told them to go eat. He said, "Y'all ain't got no business crying." He said, "This is a happy time. Go and fix yourself something to eat. Fix people who ain't got nothing something to eat." You know what I'm saying? Come on, little Stanley. Who's sitting next to you? Your wife sitting next to you? You see, she the nigga with the white people move. It's me right here. I appreciate that too.
For me, I look forward to it because it's the gathering of the body, just preparing us. If you kind of work, you be gathering, you just come, and I appreciate it because it just gives me more insight while I'm securing what I follow.
What about you, Callie? What that is over there? That's Monica over there? How many feast days you know? You ain't kept a lot. You kept a lot. How you feel about them? You think you gonna bump because you ain't had but 5 days? You think you gonna escape? You can't escape.
Hey, sit down. Sit.
Hold on, because Eugene wanna cry. Hold on, because Eugene wanna cry.
It's okay. I know what happened.
Come on, Eugene. Come on, Eugene. Come get a hug. Hugs make it all better. Come get a hug, Eugene. Hugs make it all better. You want a hug? Okay. You want a hug, Abigail? Okay. Go ahead, Mom. You want a hug, Eugene? Hugs make it all better. Go ahead, Monica.
It's kind of wants to give you a hug.
That's unfortunate. Well, I'm glad you said that. Let me ask you, how many of y'all regularly participated in church organized events for Christmas and Easter? Yeah. How did you feel about those when you went to? What did they mean to you at that time when you did that? For those of you who did,
I really didn't want to do it.
You didn't really want to do it.
Well, it's a time to be with people kind of thing, be with the family kind of vibe.
Dang, Mara, you ain't even been an adult 10 seconds. Man, somebody take that nigga in the back and put him out of his misery. Go ahead, D. What did the feast mean to you?
Hey.
I understand, because I was about to say that, because he that boy there is something else. I know, I said that was unfortunate.
And it also means that I get to join together.
Hey, let's go.
Every day.
Word. Miss Wright, why you over there playing on your phone being rude? You being rude. I see you. You're what? You what? So I'm saying she was talking, you was on your phone. But I'm saying, but you was on your phone though. That's not rude.
I wasn't really on my phone. I do.
So what were you really doing on your phone? Huh? That's how you know you're wrong. Sit. Huh? What? And I'm gonna act like that. And she could have waited. It ain't like she get out the hospital in 5 minutes. She could have waited. You got spared. Trina said her mama taught her those days were not of God, but by man, so she didn't participate in it too often. Yeah, Christmas Eve. Go ahead. What do feast days mean to you? Don't put your white people voice on it here. I don't believe you. Go ahead, Lucy. Get off your phone. She finna talk. Rude bastard, you. Mama taught you better than that. Maybe not. Somebody take her phone. She keep touching it. Get your phone. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hey, stop. Don't come in here with all that whining. Be quiet. Bye, come in here and eat. Eat your food. Mark. Come on, get to bed.
What about you, Monte? I hear you loud and clear.
I'll be honest, the first year, I felt like it was something that I needed to do. And I could be honest, in my heart, I felt like I wasn't dedicated to it yet. But I feel like I appreciate the Lord, and I feel like I should look forward to it now.
For sure. And I can see that when you first doing it. It's you feel like it's just mandatory and obligatory to do. It's not coming from the heart yet. Right. I can say for me because I've been doing it with the first. Oh, it's Shayla's turn. Shayla, what do these feast days mean to you? You walked in right on time.
It was a joke. I already got it in my head what I was going to say.
Hey, don't snatch. That's rude. That's rude. Don't snatch.
I would say it means actually taking the time to appreciate the sacrifice you made for us. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The first piece which one did we do? I don't think we did. No, we didn't do Pentecost because I didn't know. So it was May, and we had mid Passover already. So I want to say the first one we did, it might have been trumpets. Could have been atonement. I know it probably was atonement because we were high as a kite.
Hey.
Watching the Tennessee Titans and the Jaguar play. We know what we were doing. But you know what I'm saying? But it was the more so like me anyway, it's like what it's an honor thing. He gets honored and revered. See, like the first ones, I can remember too. Like it used to be me and Smiley. I've been done cook that food. I've been done hit him off with some word and we just sitting there eating. So for me, it's always just to honor him. And then I done kept it with so many different people over the course of 10 years. Some of them even by myself. Like I told you that's a real story. And we had good memories of some of them. Like when Dwight was upset when Nell cooked that vegan lasagna. That was definitely an epic situation. When Jason cooked that macaroni that nobody wanted to eat. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I said, right? Like I say, to honor him, but then also what the feast represent on each one, which is the bringing together and the fellowship of his people on a continual basis. You know what I'm saying? Might say, cause shoot, that's the biggest part of it, because you can be able to see people, if they sincere, they'll be able to rejoice in their God on a continual basis. You know what I'm saying? Day in and day out for a continual basis. You know what I'm saying? And the Sabbath should be like that too. And some of y'all know what we used to do after the Sabbath on a regular basis. And for me, that'd be the most biggest part of it. And anything is that people who will say they're one of another are with one of another on a regular basis. And you know what happens when that's just like what he said in Job. Them scales are tight and no air can get in between them. So there would be no way for the adversary to come in and snatch you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like when he make mention, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a companion of those who fear you. Like, see, those things ain't no light thing to me. Cause I'd rather be alone than hang out with sinners every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk, I would rather be alone. Period. Cause you're not gonna rejoice over what I rejoice at. That ain't gonna make you happy. You know what I'm saying? I said I was happy when I was doing it by myself. I was happy doing it when it was just me, Muffin, and Nell. I was happy doing it when it was just me, Muffin, and Jason, and Bear. You know what I'm saying? I was happy doing it when it was just me and Fat Boy. I was happy doing it when it was just me and Smiley. Because it was a day to give honor to my Alahym, and that makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for other people. That makes me happy. The word part's part of the labor, so that's a labor of love. I do that kind of love. I don't need a feast day to do that. I do that regardless. You know what I'm saying? I do that regardless. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, it makes me happy. And the main reason why it makes me happy, because I know the last one is representative of all them people standing before that throne with white robes and palms in their hand. You know what I'm saying? So I would hope that the same people who gathered here for him at that point would be gathered there with him in that day. Though that's nothing I have control over, but it's my heart's desire. Nevertheless, though, I bless y'all out in the house of y'all name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all, but we finna chew. I think the food ready for him to chew. That nigga right there look like she ready to chew. You ready to chew, or the baby ready to chew? Well, y'all willing tomorrow, man, 8:30. 8:30. Kickoff time, man, 8:30. And with that being said, we shot the park. Yeah. Monday night.
That's the last day.
Yeah, man.
Dang, that's going about quick.
Rather quick.